Yes, we need to know how to navigate through the workbook, how to enter the data, building formulas using sum, if, average, count, if, round, applying of the formulas, doing subtraction, multiplication, and division, then presenting data summary and printing the results on the paper. Now, without wasting a lot of time, let us dive deep into the first Excel formulas that we need to look at. Now, let me just present another tab here for Excel. Just a moment. Okay, here we are. Now, the tabs I'm talking about, I hope we can see those tabs. If you can be able to see that presentation, you can just raise your hand so that I'm sure we are at par. Okay, Derek, thank you. Fine. I believe that everyone now is seeing it. So we have these three tabs that we are talking about. The home, this tab, the home, then the page layout, and then the view. Three basics: home, page layout, and then the view. So these three tabs, for the home, we have the basics of data layout. We know this is the font size, bolding, italicizing, underlining. And when you have this one here is borders. When you want your worksheet to be printed with borders, you can check all these options here. We have the borders. And then this is underlining, filling the color, changing the font color, text alignment. For example, now this one, the first one here, if we have Kenya here, we can make our text to rotate vertically. It can be like that. You select this, and again, if you want your to rotate the text, you can rotate it. You can okay, if you want again to make it appear slanting, you can make it slanting like that. Or if you want just to be normal, you can remove it and it can be like that. Now, most of us, I know we are aware when we are dealing with the data presentation. So the first thing when we want to open a workbook, we go to Excel. Excel is an office desktop app. We open the Excel and then we create a new workbook or a new spreadsheet. So when we have this home button, there are so many that we can look at. We have this indentation, decrease intent and increase the intent. We have wrap text, merge and center if you want to merge 2 or 3 cells. Now, for example, this cell, I want to merge this to be one cell. I just select the cells and then I click merge and center. So when I write the name here, Nairobi, Kenya, it will take the 2 cells. As you can see, it takes the 2 cells. Now, if we write here Nairobi again, and here Kenya, you see there are 2 different cells, but when you merge them, it becomes one. So that is the work of merging and centering. Then general here we are talking about the parameters, the arguments. When we are talking about the general, it takes the numbers, it takes the currency, it takes the float, takes the decimal, everything it can take. It takes alphanumerics, but when you go to number, it only takes the numbers, no alphanumeric. When you talk about currency is when you want to put your money, for example, let me just say 1,000 here. For here, 1,000 is in general, but we can change this 1,000 into a number. It will give us a 2-decimal number. Again, we can change this 1,000 into a currency. You will see it will give us cash in terms of currency. We can change this 1,000 again into a fraction. It will change that to 1. But now if I want to say 0.5, in this cell I can change it into a fraction. That is 0.5, then I change into a fraction. Now it changes directly into a fraction. 0.5, it changes into 1/2. If I say 0.0005, I can still change this into a fraction. Then into a fraction close to 0 decimal place, right? So it gives us the same. Percentage, you can change that into percentage. A half, you can change that a half into percentages, right? Same things are down here. Conditional formatting is when you want to format some letters and some cells, and some cells you are not going to format them. When we come here, insert is when you are inserting new cells, inserting columns, inserting rows, deleting the same way, deleting rows, deleting columns, and formatting that the same. Okay, page layout is when now we are dealing with the orientation. Orientation, you know, is portrait and landscape. Page size, when you are talking about the A4, A3, and A5. Printable area, for example, hey, I want to print this document, the whole of these words. When I choose this to be set the printable area, then if I select this, we see what we can print, all of them. But now, if I want to choose Nairobi alone, Nairobi, Kenya, this cell alone, and I set it to be a printable area, and then I control P, you'll see I will only print Nairobi, Kenya, but not the other words. So that is setting and unsetting the printable area. Okay. Page breaks, background, you know it when you want to put a picture behind the text. Here, when you want to only print titles, and so on and so forth. So many things will look as we continue. Now, view here, we have the normal page break preview. When we click here, you will see how pages are divided. One page, the second page, you see, you can say page 1, page 2, page 3. But you can set it to normal for working. Then another one to look at when we are freezing pens. Freezing pens now. Let me just put 3 countries: Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Congo. Just let me just input some data. Now I want to freeze this. I select and then I freeze what? Freeze first column. When I freeze this first column, I can navigate, right? I can go either ways without. Okay, let me just unfreeze this first because we cannot be able to get what I want. Unfreeze pens. Now let me freeze the top row. Now when I have frozen the top row, this row, let me highlight it in yellow. When I navigate, it remains constant. When I navigate down here, it remains constant. It cannot move. It remains constant. This helps you when you are looking at data. When you are looking at data in a different perspective. Because when you have a long data and navigation becomes a problem, you freeze the first pen so that you can be able to see the arguments. So that is on view, that's freezing the pens. Okay, macros are functions, and functions we will see them as time goes by. Okay, let me see if we are together. Thank you, Derek. Salome, are we together? Manchuria together, thank you. Salome, okay, thank you. Leonard? Timothy? Okay, great. Now let's move to the next thing. Well, let's look at the basics of the formulas. Now, we want to see how we can do math with Excel. And when we are doing math, there are 3 parameters that we have to look at. We have the addition, the subtraction, multiplication, division, and the power. Now, in programming, when you are dealing with division, is what we call the modulus. Addition, sometimes we call them the sum. Subtraction, we call them what? Minus. Multiplication, product. Division also we call modulus or stroke what? Quotient. So, now if you are dealing with these mathematical operators, the operations, they will help you to do math with Excel. Now, to add, select cell, and then you type the basic mathematics symbol, that is the plus, then you press enter. Same to subtraction, same to multiplication, and same to division. Now let's do some math here. Now let me assume, let me just clear this first. Hoping we are together. Are we together? Okay, thank you. Let me assume, let's call this one as population. Population. Let's call this one country. Country. And then the population. Let's assume that in Uganda we have a population of 50, I mean. Then in Rwanda we have a population of 100. In Burundi we have a population of 20. In Congo we have a population of 15. Now we want to find the sum. The sum of the population. Let's call this sum. So the total of this population will be, we start with the equal sign, then we look at this cell. This cell is cell C2, which means C, we start with the arrow, we start with the column, then 2, the arrow. So C stands for the position of the column, then 2 stands for the position of the row. Then we insert an operator, that's a plus sign, another cell, that is C3, we insert another operator, then another cell, that is C4, we insert another operator, then C5, that's another cell. Then when we finish adding all those things together, then we press enter. So this enter will give us the total population of these countries. It will give us the total population of these countries. Now, we don't want to waste a lot of time when writing C1, C2. If you are having now, let me say, 1,000 columns, you cannot be able to write from one column to up to 1,000. So what we'll have to do, we introduce what we call a function, right? We introduce a function. And a function for addition is what we call the sum function. Now, let's use a function here. So it'll be equals to sum, then we input a bracket number 1. Here we take the first cell, that is C2. Then we put the colons, then we check the last cell, that is C5. Then you close the bracket and then you press enter, it will still give you the same information. Now that one helps you to reduce cumbersome, to reduce work being cumbersome. So it will be sum is equals to sum, then brackets, and number 1, that is number of the cell 1, then the number of the last cell, number of the last cell. Then when you press enter, it will give you the results. Okay, I've seen just someone has texted. Let me see what they're saying. Okay, fine. It was just a response. Now for subtraction, when we are dealing with let me just remove this cell first because it is giving us erroneous results. Okay. Now this is addition. Subtraction, or the minus. Minus, we use a minus symbol when you have small data. For example, you want to take this cell now. Let me just do it from here. So you start with the equal sign first, then the cell you want, you take the first cell, that's C3, minus cell C4. Then you click enter, you'll get the results. Basically you need to use cells for minuses and addition. Now, you can also use a function. A function for minus is what? Any idea? Any idea function that we can use for minus? Okay, you'll do that as a research anyway. Manshur, do you have a function for minus?
Yes, how?
Yeah, please tell us. Manshur, do you have a function? Please, you can type it on a chat or you can just tell us that function. We can try with it first. Okay, without wasting a lot of time, because we only have some few minutes before we go to another class, uh, let's go to another function. And the other mathematical operator, from that we go to another one, which is multiply. Multiplication, we use an asterisk. An asterisk is an asterisk is what we call it. Okay, you it looks like that. So on your keyboard, you press Shift and then 8. It will give you an asterisk. So you start with that. For example, now let me just say multiplication. Multiplication. It gives us now the asterisk. Now, which cells do you want to multiply? You start with equals to 15. That is cell number 5. Then times an asterisk. And then you put that cell, the cell that you want again to multiply with. Then you press enter. It will be 15 times 20. You get what? 300. Are we together? Then division. Division is the same way. You start with the equal sign, then the cell you want to divide. For example, you want to divide cell C3, then you use the forward slash, divide by cell C5. You'll get this. Now this one gives you 6 2 over 3. We want to change this one into decimals. You come to home, then you come here, then you put a number. It will give us 6.67. But if you want to change into a fraction, you still have to put a fraction. But you can change the format of that cell. You can even put general because it will give us uh, a number. Okay, so that is the basics. That's doing math. But doing math is very important with Excel because that is one of the things that it was meant to. After that, we need to look at more about the formulas, cells, and ranges. Now we know what a cell is, and we know what a range is. Now, a range is, for example, from cell C2 to cell C6 is a range of numbers. So this is a range. A range is written, for example, cell C2, then colons, then C5. So this means this is a range, right? This is a range. Okay. A cell is an intersection between a row and a column. So let's say, what cell is this? The one that I've highlighted. Which cell is that? This cell that is active here. Anyone?
D12.
Exactly. D12. Right? This is cell D12. So that is a cell. Okay. Let me just write. D is what? D is the column. Then 12 is the row. A cell is an intersection between a row and a column. A range is a formation of more than one cell. An agglomeration of more than one cells. So that is a range. But this is a cell. Okay. Now sum, we see we have used the sum here. Our sum, we have used the function to get the sum. We have done the multiplication and we have done the addition. Now you can see what I was saying is we have a cell reference. For example, here A is a cell reference, B is a cell reference. One here is called an operator, but it's just a number. An operator is the signs that we use, either the addition sign, the subtraction sign, the multiplication sign, or the division sign. So those are what we're calling the operator. Now, when you look at the word sum, sum itself is the function, right? A function is a combination of arguments that assist you in doing mathematics calculations. Now we have the argument here. Now the argument is the operation that you want to be done. The arguments are always enclosed in brackets. So an argument must be enclosed in brackets. Now a range of cells has a starting cell, colon, and an ending cell. So a range of cells. Now a range of cells, you see we have a range from cell A1 to cell A10. So that is a range. And it must have a starting cell. The starting cell is A1, and then we have the colon and an ending cell, that is A10. So from A1 to A10, it becomes an argument, as well as it's becoming what? A range at this particular time. So when you select a range of cells for a formula, Excel will automatically add the colon. Now let's do that. Let's see. We want to do a quotient. For example, quotient becomes what? Quotient becomes a function. Then we are selecting this range. When we select this range from C2 to C6, you see Excel automatically gives us what? Semicolons, right? So here it will say too few arguments, because when you are doing the quotient is are we together? Quotient is okay, fine. You will find that as time goes by. Now you see, now when you select a range of cells, Excel will automatically insert semicolon. Now, as you can see also here, when you can add more than one argument. So argument for cell A1 to A10, and another argument from C1 to C1. So a range of cells here and another argument. So you can add more than 3 cells. Now, for example, here, let's just do that example. For example, we are having so let's put a sum as an argument, as an argument first. We need this. Then 2, we select another cell range. Then we can get 350. So you see, we are adding cell C2 to C3, this and this. So that is 115, then this one and this one. So we are adding those 4 cells. You can choose more than one argument when you are dealing with Excel. You can add more than one argument. Okay, so we have so many functions when we are dealing with Excel. Not only sum, we have the quotient. We have the quotient. Another one, we have the product. We have the sum. Any other function that you can use to calculate? Anyone who knows? Any other 4 functions that we use?
Minus.
Okay, minus is another one. Is also minus is also a function. So before the function, we must use an equal sign, right? Before the function, we must use an equal sign, and Excel will give you inbuilt ones. When you just type product, it will give you product, and product has a lot of another inbuilt function. We have some product, we have in product, and so many. We can also look at the mean and maximum. So you look at what is the minimum range and what is the maximum range is also a function. So we have the mean and we have the maximum. So if you want to find this, you always select a cell range. For example, max, then we take a cell range of this one. You close the bracket and you'll see the maximum is 185. When you look at the minimum, you must start with equal signs first, minimum, then you select the cell range. Sorry, you see the problem I've done here is because I've not enclosed with the bracket. Then you put the cell range, then you close with the brackets, then you enter. You see the minimum is 15. So all these are what we are calling the Excel inbuilt functions, which we use in calculations. So we have so many functions that we can use in calculations. Most of them we will be learning as time goes by, because when we find some, then we look at the sum if, we also look at the count if. Then another one also that we use is the average, and so many so forth functions are there. Okay, let me just put here an operator, right? Okay, so that you can be able to know what I'm talking about at this particular moment. So I know that you can now be able to tell what I'm doing here. This is what we call freezing. I froze the first column so that when I move across the functions, I cannot be able to go back and see what I'm looking at. So we have just frozen them. So do you have any question up to that point? Do you have any questions up to that point? Any question or any? Well, Mansoor said that we have a subtraction function. You can subtract. Okay, I will repeat the freezing part. You can subtract two arguments, as you can see, a1 to b4, as he has written in the chart, and also is3 to d6. Now let me repeat the freezing part. Now, let me just remove. If we want to remove such a cell, you just delete a column. You can delete that column and remain with this. Let's delete columns that are not needed so that we can know how to. Okay, you can delete those columns. Now, we have this data. Let me unfreeze this first. So you go to view, then let me unfreeze pens. Now, when you unfreeze, you see when you are moving your workbook, there is nothing you can refer from up here because there's nothing that is still. But we want to make sure that the country remains still, population remains still, the operator remains still, and the function remains still. So that when we are moving across, we don't know what this is, we don't know what this is, and we don't know what this is. So we come here, right? We want to freeze this first row. So you come to view, then you go to freeze pens, then freeze pens, keep rows and columns visible while reset, that's what it means. Then you freeze the top row. After you freeze the top row, that is all. When you are moving now, you still know that these are functions without going up there. You know that these are operators. You know that this is country and this is the population. So you freeze them. You can also freeze, let me unfreeze. You can also freeze this column. You come here and then you freeze first column. So when you freeze the first column, it will ensure that when you are moving this side, the column remains without moving. The column remains. Yeah. But you can also choose to freeze the highlighted one. I don't know if it will function, but we will at that time we will know how to do this. But you can freeze the first column, or you can choose these two to freeze them. You can freeze these two. You see, as you move, they are frozen. As you move, they are frozen. Let me unfreeze again. You can choose to freeze these ones. So you see, when you're moving, you are freezing this part. They remain without moving. Yeah. So that is all about freezing. Hope I've answered you, Salome. Please let me know if I've answered you. Okay, thank you very much. Now, we are coming to an end of this because today we are going to go through the sum ifs, the count ifs, and everything at 4. And I want to give time for you to even plan for it. So I want us to go to the last bit. So the last thing that we did last time was to make sure that our data matches or it becomes our data that we do, it matches with what you have done. For example, you see the part of population, it is too big. This column is too big. It is not fitting the cells, right? It is not fitting the data. Now, if I add here another country, let me say Republic of South Africa. South Africa. You see the words are passing the cells. So I want us to look at how we can make sure that these cells fits and this data fits every cell. So let me add another here, 110. Okay, let me just copy this. Then let me paste. Copy, then paste. So that we have that data. So I want us to make sure that this data fits automatically when we type. Let me find out if we are together. Are we together? All of us, because this is important. Yes, Derek, you're together. Any other? Or Leonard, you're together. Any other? Manshur, you're together. Leonard, no, not Leonard. Timothy and Sarah. Salome, I mean, sorry. Okay, thank you. Now, you come here where it is written sheet. Then you right click on the sheet, right? When you right click here on the sheet, you will find that we have the insert, the delete, rename, move, view code, protect sheet, tab color, hide, and all the other parameters. Tab color, it will just change the color of this tab here. Protect sheet is you will make it inaccessible to someone to edit. You will protect it with the password. View code is the one I'm talking about. Now you click to view code. Now when you click to view code, it will bring this window here. So we have the general, the declaration. So you come here to general and then you choose what we are calling the worksheet. Together? Now on the worksheet, you type here cells, then dot, then you click entire, you write entire column, then another dot without space, then you write auto fit. Then you click enter. Then you move back, you just remove this and then you move back to your sheet. When you click it there, it will automatically fit what? The population. Now, the word population is the one being fit here. Now, let me just put here a word like PP and then click on another cell. You see, it will automatically fit. South Africa is just, let me clear South Africa and then click, it automatically fits, right? Let me clear this 6 and put 4. It will automatically rearrange the cells. So let me again format this cell to have these together or put them in another side. It will automatically fit there. Now, if I write a number here like 1000, the cell will automatically rearrange itself. Now, let me write another country here. Which one has the longest name? Algeria. Okay, Algeria is a bit small. Let me write here that this country has 15 million. 15 million as a population. It will automatically change. So that is what we are calling auto. Someone said Burkina Faso. Oh, pardon. Let me just write in the chat. You right click right click on sheets, then you go to view code. In a view code, you change from general from general general to worksheet. Then after there, you enter this code. You enter this code cells dot entire 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 column dot out of it. When you click enter, it will automatically autofill the data that you input in. It will automatically autofill the data. Derek, are we together? Derek, are we together?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So that is the basics that we did last week, but today we are going to dive deeper into functions, and Manshur will be taking the class from next week. So today we'll be doing some deeper of some ifs and everything so that we can be able to continue with this. So we will allow me to have some time and plan for that. Then we will continue from 4:30. Manshur,